What is going on, New York Giants fans? Hit Squad back at it with another video. Man, we got episode 10 today of Giants and Friends, none other with JayyDimes. Let me tell y'all something, man. I remember when this dude had first started his channel and he was pumping out great content, still is pumping out great content. And to see where he's at now, man, and he was one of my first subscribers too, funny enough. Man, this kid has grown and just again puts out excellent content. And you can find the link to his channel in the description below. Jay, what's going on, man? How are you, brother?
Hey man, I'm good. I'm just glad. Thank you for having me on. I'm
Absolutely.
just I'm excited to talk about this Giants football, man. We got a lot to get into.
That's absolutely, man. I appreciate you stopping by, man, and taking the time to do this. I see we got some people in the chat. What's going on, D Matt Warrior? Appreciate you stopping by. Mark the Blue Giant. I appreciate you guys stopping by, man. We got quite a bit to talk about today, man. We're going to talk about Daniel Jones. We're going to be talking about Daniel Bellinger. Man, where do we even start, man? Matter of fact, let's dive right into DJ. Let's dive
Yes,
right
sir.
into DJ because I wasn't able to really get into this with yesterday's episode, but most def we are going to touch upon this today, man. So look, I know a lot of people, feel mixed emotions with this kid. I know there's fans that are completely on board with him and believe he could succeed, believe that he's this athletic Peyton Manning possibly. Then you got some other fans that despise this kid. They don't want him on the team.
Yes.
They feel they've seen enough. And then you got the middle crowd, right? You got the middle crowd that they want to see what this kid got, but they understand that he possibly isn't the answer, and we may look to move at the QB position, next upcoming draft. But for me personally, man, I mean, I've been pretty vocal about it. I think the kid hasn't been given a fair shot. I think that when you look at the circumstances that he's been through, I can't think of a quarterback that could really come in and succeed. I can't. I mean, bad offensive
Yeah.
line, weapons not being healthy, a prehistoric offense with bad coaching. I mean, and look, I'm not gonna discredit him. I mean, excuse me, I'm not gonna, discredit the fact that there's things that he has to work on. We've
Yes.
spoken about this before, where there are things that, DJ, he has to get better with. And that's going to come up to coaching. I think that's going to come up to him putting it all together. But Jay, man, I mean, what are your expectations for Daniel Jones this season? I mean, new offensive line, healthy Saquon. I mean, what are your thoughts on what this kid could potentially do for us?
Well, I feel like Daniel Jones this season probably has the best chance he's ever had with us to succeed. When we're talking about hiring Brian Dable, we're talking about Mike Kafka, both of those guys and their past regimes was coaching some of the best quarterback talent we got in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. You got
Very
Saquon,
true.
he's healthy. I feel like he's even healthier and he's even more confident. He's even more, hungrier. I remember watching a video a couple of months ago where he was talking basically like he's tired of the disrespect. He's tired of, I'm saying, getting trashed on, the Giants getting trashed on. And with a motivated Saquon, even better coaching staff with Brian Dable, and you got Kenny Galladay coming back. You already see Wan'Dale Robinson's making plays in OTAs. I expect
Yep.
DJ to probably have a career year. I really am hoping he does because I feel like you said, he's not been given the fair chance to succeed ever since he walked through the door. For real.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love to hear, man. I mean, I understand both sides of the coin. Again, there's things he has to work on, but
Yes.
I mean, I don't think when you point out the facts that that's making excuses for him. And I think some people will take it that way, where when you bring up the offensive line, when you bring up Saquon not being healthy, when you bring up, Jason Garrett's prehistoric offense that couldn't get any of these receivers wide open. I
Yes.
mean, I don't think that's making excuses. I think that's, being relatively fair to the guy. Now, again, he should definitely work on getting through his reads a little bit quicker. I feel like he has to, feel the pocket a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I'm there with you, Jay. I think that if this offensive line could, hold up, and I think that if, this guy is standing up as opposed to, being on his back or running for his life, and
Yes.
if his weapons could stay healthy, man, I mean, I think you're looking at a much improved DJ. Now, even with that, man, I mean, I think you and I I mean, hopefully. I mean, if not, I'd love to get your thoughts. But I think you and I could both agree that he's going to have to reach a certain level for him to, really be justified to get that franchise tag. You
For
know,
certain. Yes.
and that's where I want to turn that to you. Where for you personally, Jay, like what does he have to do? Whether that's stat wise, whether that's just you see that the improvement is there. For you personally, what does he need to do to justify him getting that franchise tag and staying with the Giants for another year?
Well, first, it's the injuries with me with Daniel Jones. That's one of his main issues. Even as a rookie, he dealt with injuries late on in the season. I think he got injured versus Green Bay, and then the year before that, he had the hamstring injury versus Cincinnati. Then you had last year where he had
Yep.
the neck issue. So, if we really want to call DJ our franchise quarterback, got to stay on the field. And we saw how bad it got when he was on the field, and we have Mike Glennon
Hmm.
and Jake Fromm out there, and I think that's one thing that he has to get better at. And you can't really control the injuries, but you would hope that your franchise QB is playing all 17 games. We're looking at the other franchise quarterbacks in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. You don't got to worry about starting no backup when you got him as your franchise QB. And another thing, I want to see the consistency.
Hmm.
The first three seasons of first three games of last year, DJ was playing pretty good. He's playing pretty decent, and you kind of saw later on in the season it kind of depleted a little bit, and it's a lot of things that can contribute to that. But I think DJ also he has to do better when the pressure is on.
Hmm.
He has to do better. He has to do better. He has to I don't want to compare him to Josh Allen. I don't want to say he has to do stuff like Josh Allen, but we see what Josh Allen does when the play isn't, directly towards a person. He makes stuff happen on the
Hmm.
fly. And I think that's one other thing DJ has to get better at. And I feel he's gonna have the chance to do it. Brian Dable is gonna have that pass first offense, pushing that ball down the field. So that is one of the main things that DJ is good at, the deep ball. So I'm excited to see what he does, but those are some of the things I think he has to clean up if he wants to be that franchise QB for the Giants, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you 100%, man. And you bring up his deep ball. I mean, he's been known to have one of the most accurate deep balls in the NFL. Now, granted, I understand he didn't take that many shots downfield compared to a lot of other QBs in the league, but I can't deny the fact that, when he has to put the money on the ball, he puts the money on the ball. I mean, we saw that last year against the Broncos, where let's say there's an offsides, or excuse me, yeah, an offsides. What are they doing? You got Darius Slayton going down the seam and DJ stowing him just a nice dot of a ball.
Yeah.
For us, to pick up some chunk plays. And I mean, I think you look at this kid's rookie season. You see the potential with this kid, and then Jason Garrett and Joe Judge come into the picture, and we think that they're going to elevate his play, and it was the complete opposite. It was the complete opposite of what they
Yes.
did, and you could make an argument that he did regress a little bit, but I think that there were subtle improvements in his game, even under Jason Garrett, especially when you look at the fumbles, when you look at him just reading the pocket a little bit better. But I agree with you, man. I want to see him really just develop into what I think he could be, and I think that he could be an above average QB in this league. Now, granted, he has to put everything together. I absolutely understand that, but I mean, you telling me that he's going to have a healthy and improved roster on the offensive side, and improved offensive line. I gotta believe that he's going to improve this season, especially having Kafka and Dable in his ear. But I see we got some more people in the chat. What is
Sir.
going on? Coach Ed Gladney, thank you for stopping by, man. Appreciate you. Mark the Blue Giant, again, thank you for stopping by. Tudo, appreciate you stopping by. He says he's from Italy, by the way, Jay. He
Yep.
says, massive salute to Big Boss Hit Squad and his crew. Drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And for all Giants fans around the world, slap and kink all stinky boys, losers out of the door. Forget about it. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Forget
Yes,
about
sir.
it, man. Appreciate you guys stopping by, man. Mark the Blue Giant says Daniel Jones can really thrive for us. I agree with you, man. I agree. Obviously, he has to put everything together, but
Hmm.
I think that the best thing that could have happened for Daniel Jones and his career so far in the NFL was Brian Dable walking through that door. I'm gonna just be
Yes.
honest with you. It was the best thing that could happen for him. I'm not expecting, Josh Allen out of this kid, but
Yeah,
I do think that they have similar traits. They're both athletic. I think, while, obviously Jones doesn't have Josh Allen's arm. I mean, I think he has a pretty strong arm.
yeah,
I really do. I think he has a pretty strong arm. He looks like he's put on a little bit more weight. And on top of that, I mean, you're grabbing two athletic quarterbacks. So I think that, when Dable, signed up to come here, him knowing that he was going to work with Daniel Jones, probably was a little bit excited, despite what some people may think, just due to the fact that this kid has tangibles. He's a smart kid, um, and unfortunately, if it doesn't work out, the Giants may be picking high in the draft in that case, and look for us to definitely try to trade up to try to get one of those guys next season.
yeah.
Jaden, appreciate you stopping by. Thank you, Coach. Let's see here. Mark the Blue Giants asks, how many touchdowns does Daniel Jones have? I think 25 through 27. Ooh, that's a good one, man. Jay,
Yeah.
how many do you think he's gonna have?
Well, it's kind of hard to really calculate it, but if we're looking at how Brian Dable wants to work the offense, be that pass first offense, I would say he could have like 28 to 32 around that range. And this is coming from a fan who wants DJ to be here, so it might be a little bit of bias here. But if we're being 100% honest,
Yeah.
um, I would probably say 28 to be safe. I don't want to shoot the gun or anything like that. I'll probably say 28. That's me right now. Right now.
Okay, yeah, 28's not a bad number at all. I have him around 29. I could even see him 30, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I know that that might be a little extreme for some fans, but I think that it's not impossible. Especially when you look at, you're getting a healthy Galladay back. You're going to be having Tony on the field, Wandale, Slayton, Saquon Barkley, Bellinger, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. I mean, it's very much possible. And then on top of that, you have his athleticism as well. So
Yep.
I could definitely see Brian Dable taking advantage of that. And we might even see some more rushing touchdowns from the kid. I mean, but this was a good question, Mark. I appreciate
It
you
was.
asking this. Um, he also says Jones was playing good at the beginning of the year, but we did him no favors. Yep, just like Jay said. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys remember in the beginning of last year, I mean, Daniel Jones was playing fairly solid. And not for nothing, despite the loss, the painful loss by that, against Washington, I mean, he was having himself a pretty good game.
He really was.
I mean, and if Slayton catches that ball, I mean, I think the tone is a little bit different with Daniel Jones coming out of that game. And especially looking down towards the rest of the season. I mean, and you see how he played, against the Saints. I mean, he had over 400 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't done the kid no favors. There's potential with this kid, and again, he has to put this all together. But like Jay said, like you just stated, Mark, I mean, he was playing good at the beginning of the season. Let's see if he could put this all together, man.
And one other thing, when we're talking about the first couple games of the year, he balled out in the Washington game. The defense didn't do no favors either. They was giving up. Terry McLaurin looked like the next Jerry Rice in that game.
Yeah,
You looking at the Saints game at the time, that Saints defense was like top 10, top 5, and he threw for
yeah.
like 400 yards on that defense. So,
Hmm.
like at the beginning of the year, if we get beginning of the 2021 season play for DJ for a 17 game span, I feel like that's good enough to play to earn him a second year contract, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm there with you, man. I think you see the potential with this kid, and I think that if he can just put this together. And I keep saying put this together, but ultimately that's what he has to do. I think that at this point in his career, the game might be slowing down for him a little bit. I know that he's learning a new offensive scheme, but I think what also helps is, Dable came out. I think it was about a month ago, maybe a little bit less, saying, he asked Daniel Jones, what are some of your favorite plays that you like running? What do you feel comfortable with? What do you not feel comfortable with? So it's nice to see that, we're going to be building an offense, that's predicated to, making sure that he can thrive. And one thing that's pretty interesting, at least to me, I find it interesting, is that there it seems to be, from what it's actually being reported by the beat reporters, that he's getting the ball out of his hands relatively quick. So, is Kafka and Dable trying to design an offense where Daniel Jones is getting the ball out quick and letting his playmakers, get those chunk yards and
Yeah,
create plays? I think that might be the best thing for him, Jay. I'm gonna just be
yeah,
real. Just due to the
yeah,
fact that, the offenses of the offensive line isn't gonna have to wait as long. He's not gonna be at I don't think he's gonna have to take as many steps as he usually would. And if we could get the ball to our playmakers as quick as possible, I mean, just look at the players that he'd be getting it to. I mean, Kadarius Tony, you talk about a guy that could create separation and just can break ankles throughout the field. And then you look at Wandale Robinson. Those are just two names, just to throw out there who are very elusive, and I'm not even talking about Saquon, who it appears that, they're getting him heavily involved in the passing game as well,
yeah,
which I don't know about you, man. That gets me excited.
yeah.
that gets me so excited, man.
Hey, we can't forget when Saquon was a rookie. He caught for what I think 721 yards as a rookie.
Yeah, yeah.
So it would make a lot of sense for us to have that offense where we're getting the ball out quick to our playmakers. You don't draft Wandale Robinson and KT to not design them up some plays, get the ball out of DJ's hands quicker,
Hmm.
and it helps the offensive line big time. I'm high on Evan Neal, but again, he is a rookie, so how else can you help out your offensive line by getting that ball out quicker, not having what I'm saying, them block for too long, and I feel like that's a smart approach from Brian Dable if that's how they want to go for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, again, if we can just get the ball out quick to our playmakers, I mean, it's just going to benefit this kid a lot. I mean, I don't want to say that he looked like he was losing it last year on some Sam Darnold shit, excuse my
Yeah,
language, where Sam Darnold was on the sideline saying he was seeing ghost. But there was definitely games. I mean, you look at the Rams game, you look at
yeah,
the Bucks game where he just throws the ball to a defensive tackle. Those kind of mistakes, he can't be doing that. But I mean the dog, it just seems that every time he hikes the ball, he got someone in his face.
yeah,
Like, I mean, Jesus, it's almost like, he what is that term? It's I know boxers experience it, and you saw it with Eli, where Eli was dropping down to the floor before, a defensive end could get to him. It's kind of like he has that I think it's the boxer's punch or boxer's shock, something like that. Where
yeah,
damn, I'm not getting the name right, but it can really derail a player's confidence. It could derail a player's career if he can't
yep.
work on that confidence. I don't think he's there yet, but I mean, he was damn near close to it last year, man. I mean, this offensive line did not help this kid at all. Um, but coach says Daniel Jones does have the skill set to be properly developed into a QB who can make plays and help put his teammates in positions to succeed, which ultimately benefits the organization. Absolutely.
Yep.
Jay, look, this man is smart as hell, Coach Ed Gladney. I mean, he's coached
Mm.
every facet of the game. I really love how he looks at the game and some of the things that he sees because it's just from a coaching perspective. It's always interesting. But I agree here. I really do agree here, man. I think that Kafka also, Brian Dable and not for nothing, Davis Webb being familiar with the system helps too.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we got some guys around him that, can help him and can, like coach said here, properly develop him into the QB that he could possibly be. Again, let's see if he puts it all together. But I mean, you got to be excited to see what he can do with the weapons that we have on the field.
I am. I am very excited. We're talking about like yes, the weapons, and we didn't even talk about Kenny Galladay yet. We didn't
Yeah,
even speak on
I
KG
know.
yet.
Yeah,
He
I
was
know.
literally like before last year and the last year with the Lions, he was literally like the receiving touchdown leader. When we're
Yeah,
looking at that and we're looking at the mastermind that is Brian Dibble and Mike Kafka, and we're looking at DJ not just as a passer but as a runner. Now, one other thing, when he is a runner, that is a part of his skill set. He has to protect himself. He
yep, he
has to
does.
protect himself. Majority of the time when he gets injured, it's because he was running the football. I'm pretty sure every time he's gotten injured, it was because he's running the football. And we talk about the neck injury he had. Even before that, the Cowboys game, he was running to the end zone and got concussed.
Yep, he did.
So yes, I do love his skill set. We're talking about him from a running standpoint, pass standpoint, has protected himself, but I feel like Brian Dibson will get all that right before the season starts.
Absolutely, man. And coach, thank you. It's called Punch Drunk. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Um, But look, I mean, you're absolutely right, man. And that's one thing that I've always admired with Daniel Jones is that, he tries making these, Superman like plays.
Yeah.
We saw him run over a defensive tackle. I think it was Grady Jarrett from
Yeah.
Atlanta. That was awesome. But I'm gonna be real with
Yes.
you. I don't want my quarterbacks doing that.
You don't. Yeah.
I don't want my quarterbacks doing that. It
Unless it's like
just
Lamar Jackson, who he can it's Lamar Jackson, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely, man. But even then, like, you're risking injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we can't afford with Daniel Jones because if he gets injured this season and misses some time, I'm afraid that he may not be a New York Giant come next season.
Yeah.
Um, Jaden says Jones has a good deep ball accuracy. Yeah, you're
Yes.
you're absolutely right. And
Yes.
Jaden also asks, can Daniel Jones throw for 4,000? Hey,
Mm.
man, that's a tall task. I know
Yeah.
I know that there's QBs in this league that throw for 4,000, 5,000 even. Um,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. I mean, if I'm talking if every single little detail goes right, and if these players can stay healthy, maybe, but I don't want to put that kind of pressure on Daniel Jones,
Yeah.
especially, he's going into a season where this is a make or break season. Now, if you had said 3,500 yards,
Yeah.
absolutely, Jaden,
Absolutely.
I could see that. But 4K, that might be a little too much pressure for the kid.
Yeah. I don't see DJ as that type of 5,000 yard type of guy. I don't really see that in him. But 4,000, it is still kind of pushing it because I do feel like they're still going to involve Saquon Barkley in the running game, and depending on how the season goes, I don't want to. Yeah, before the season, you don't want to be freaking putting stat predictions out here saying that DJ's going to throw for 4K. That's after watching his first 3 seasons, you can't say that. You know what I'm
You
saying? So
can't. No, you can't.
it's it would be nice. I would love to see him go out throw for 4,000, have the 50 touchdown type of season like Patrick Mahomes did a couple years ago. But we got to be realistic. 4,000 is kind of a stretch for me for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely there with you. Jaden, I appreciate the question, but shit, that's just a lot of pressure to put on
The
the
tall
kid, man.
task.
Um, Now Tudo says, brother Coach Ed, I disagree with your comment. Daniel Jones has size and talent, but he doesn't have the skill sets. He can't scramble or throw or shovel past many, many more. Which, you know what? I think that's a perfect transition to an article that I was reading earlier, which I think, it's worth looking at. And I want to read it to you guys. It's about Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Jones, and Davis Webb FaceTiming with Patrick Mahomes. And in this article, it goes into detail talking about that they FaceTime with them to get, details on, Kafka's system, just what to know, certain tendencies that Mahomes has and how they can improve in their game. But let's go over this article, man, because this is such a for me, I'm really excited, man. This kind of stuff gets me pumped. But so they're talking about Kafka, and him leaving with the Chiefs. And he says, I FaceTime, this is Davis Webb in an interview. He says, I FaceTime Pat a couple times asking for his opinions with Daniel sitting next to me and Tyrod there, just trying to get some insight on his plays. Now, you guys know, or if you didn't know, Mahomes and Davis Webb were college teammates for a couple seasons at Texas Tech. He also says just having an opportunity to talk with him and to get in his mind a little about his stuff and the things we were brought over with Mike is great. And look, I agree with this 100%, Jay. I think that, having, just the smart and intelligent mind of Patrick Mahomes giving you any tidbits on how to improve your game, how to succeed in a system that he's, fairly familiar with, with Kafka being his QB coach. I mean, I think that this is nothing but, great news. And in my opinion, this kind of stuff can really help these guys.
Yes, Patrick Mahomes is a former MVP of the NFL, and I feel like that's one thing that DJ, he's a smart kid. He went to Duke. You know what I'm saying? You don't just fly out and go out to Duke if you're not, if you don't got a good brain on you. And I feel like DJ getting some pointers from Pat is huge and go a very long way. And shout out to Davis Webb. So if we do see DJ skyrocket into stardom, we got to think Davis Webb if this actually does end up turning out and helping out DJ in the long run, for sure.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know my mic was muted. Uh,
You
but
good? You good?
no, too though, and I know you're not a DJ hater. I know of some DJ haters. We all have seen the DJ haters, so I know you're not one of them. But it's just this kind of stuff, man. I mean, it's very intriguing in my opinion, and I think that again, like you said, former MVP, former Super Bowl winning quarterback, we all know the kind of talent that this kid has and just what he brings to the game. Now, I think that obviously Daniel and Mahomes are way two different quarterbacks, just two
Yeah.
different quarterbacks. There's just things that Mahomes can do that no other human being can do. Like it's
Yeah.
amazing watching his game. Same with Lamar, same with Josh Allen. It's amazing to watch their games. Extremely talented generational players. But
Yes.
you know, this kind of stuff, yeah, try to get as much help as you can. Try to get as much insight as you can to improve your game. I think that this is not only going to help Daniel Jones, but I think that even if, let's say, a player like Tyrod has to get starting reps because Daniel Jones has to deal with the injury or he's just not
Yep.
playing as well, I mean, that's going to help him too. And I mean, we all know, these guys have been saying, it's not going to be a Chiefs offense, it's not going to be a Bills offense, it's going to be the Giants offense. But I think that we're going to see a lot of similarities from the Chiefs offense, from the Bills offense, and those are two of the, in my opinion, the top three, if not top five at worst, best offenses in the league.
Yeah,
So,
and
I mean, you got to be pumped.
yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm right on this one, but Tyrod Taylor was in Buffalo
He
for a period
was.
of time. I'm not
He
sure if
was.
Brian Dable was on the coaching staff at that time, but I like that they're going out to other players and one of the best players in the game, Patrick Mahomes, to get some pointers. And that helps our coaching staff too with Mike Kafka. If Mike Kafka comes to DJ and asks him, where does this play go? What happens on this certain play? DJ can tell him right on the money how it's supposed to play out. And that would be from this right here. So I really do think it does help out not just DJ and our quarterbacks, but it helps the coaching staff too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Giving them even more familiar with the kind of scheme they're going to be running this year. So yes, this helps mightily. You know what I'm saying? It might not be the biggest thing as news goes, but I feel like this is a small thing. It'd be the small things that really helps DJ out and the quarterbacks that we have on the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And one opinion that I want to get is from Coach himself.
Yep.
Coach, I mean, I really want to hear your thoughts on this, man, because I think this is really going to help these guys out.
First of all, peace and blessings, everyone. Thanks for
Peace and
having me.
blessings.
Got you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Um, with DJ, yes, he has, when I say skill set, he has the tools to go out there and produce and play at a level that says that he's an NFL quarterback. He has the mobility. He does have the arm strength. I'm not going to sit here and say that he has Josh Allen's arm strength, but he has serviceable enough, if not borderline. We all know that he can throw the ball deep, and he has a beautiful
Yeah.
deep throw. So that's what I mean by he has the borderline strength to get the ball downfield. Um, Again, he has the mobility. He doesn't have the elusiveness when he gets out in the field. Yes, he has to stay on his feet, but
Mhm.
he's shown that when he breaks away, he can run away from some defensive backs. And that's not easy to do in the NFL. Does he need to do a better job of with pocket awareness? Yes. You know, all of this comes down to coaching.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
absolutely
it
right.
is coaching. The last 2 years, I do not think he was properly coached. His first year, he was on the trend to be developed the right way, but
Mhm.
things happen, and coaching staff change. Last year, the last 2 years is what I think regressed his development. So, yes, I think he has what it takes to be developed into a good quarterback. This year, some can say he's at a disadvantage because he hasn't had Dable to help him like Josh Allen did, but he has to, show he's been in the league. This is his fourth year, so he has to have had learned something. Just as you said, Jay, he went to Duke, so he is a smart dude.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
going out there, the tools are there. They just have to be pulled out and then put in the he has to be put in the right position to be productive. And if he does that, and some of the simplest things is just get the ball to your playmakers. If you do that, they will make you look elite. And
Yeah.
that's what it boils
Absolutely.
down to. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right, man. And we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Shout out the chat actually before I continue. Miss Rodney, thank you for stopping by. Big Blue Corner, appreciate you stopping by, man. Jaden the Champ, appreciate you stopping by. Blue City Empire, thank you for stopping by. I'm gonna get right back to your comment. Um, but yeah, no, I agree with you, Coach. And we was talking about this earlier where it's being reported that, they're making sure that he gets the ball out of his hands
mhm,
quick to his, to his receivers and to his playmakers. Coach, I got to be honest. I think that that's the best thing for this kid.
mhm. It,
I,
it
I
it
I really
actually
do.
is. It actually is because it takes away the pass rush, and it builds up a
Mhm.
level of confidence, but it also forces defenses sometimes to play back on their heels because he's going to get the ball out quickly. So now, as a defensive coordinator, do you defend the short to intermediate route, which now can open up the deep ball, and it also lessens the pass rush, and it allows you offensively to, if there's someone offensively that's a threat as a pass rusher. If you need to double team him, you double team him because you'll still have the guys who are getting out there to make plays. And with the talent that's there right now, I think that we can put him in, and we can mentor him right. We can put him in a position to be successful.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. And again, I think that Dable coming in is absolutely a plus. But I also think bringing in Kafka too, because
Hmm.
Kafka was rumored to be the guy that was next if and when Bieniemy gets a head coaching job as
Hmm.
the OC. And I remember when we hired Kafka, there was Chiefs fans on Twitter saying, you got our guy, you got someone that we really wanted and the Chiefs really valued. And obviously, that's got to translate on the field, but I got to take their word for it. I mean, it seems that, especially when you look at these pressers compared to the last regime, it seems that these guys are all on the same page. They're
Hmm.
talking the same language. They got the same philosophies. I didn't get that vibe with Jason Garrett and Joe
Hmm.
Judge. I
Hmm.
didn't get that vibe with
Yeah.
Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman. Just I never got that. But again, I think that like Mark the Blue Giant just said here, actually I'm about to re-highlight this comment. He says we got a coach who can make sure that DJ excels.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Absolutely.
There's
I
one.
agree.
There's one thing I just did quick research, and I went back and I looked at Josh Allen's stats for the last 4 years,
Yes.
and I find it very interesting. 28, and I'm going to start with completion percentage. 2018, he's at 52.8. 2019, 58.8. 2020, he's at 69.2. And then last year, he dropped down to 63.3. If we look at yardage, starts at it 2,074, 3,089, 4,544, 4,407. So the point I'm making is with proper coaching, you're developed.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
and if
That's
you
true.
break down these
Yeah.
averages, it's, 62.3 average in completion percentage. Overall in yards, it's 35.28 and a half. Touchdowns are at 25.75. Interceptions are at 11 and a half. And the overall rating is 91. So that tells me Dable can develop talent. And
Absolutely.
the talk with Josh Allen coming out was being that he played at Wyoming, he wasn't coach, he didn't play high level competition, but look at where he is now. So, and now
Yeah.
if you have adding Kafka and also Webb, being that his relationship with Mahomes, we have all the tool, we have all the resources for Jones to be developed the right way. That's why I said earlier, develop properly. So
Mhm.
I really think that looking at what he's able to do and the opportunities, the resources, he's in that position to really produce.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Jay, appreciate you stopping by, man. Thank you for stopping by,
Jay,
brother.
what's up?
Um,
And wait, one
yeah,
just one thing.
yeah.
One other thing. when we're looking at the coaches and how at first you had Joe Judge and Jason Garrett, look at what the reports are coming out of New England right now. How the
Mm-hmm.
offense is, looking kind of shaky already in OTAs. And then when you look at who our offensive coordinator was last year, and Jason Garrett, the man is calling USFL games right now. Let that
Mm-hmm.
sink in. Not even NFL.
Yeah,
He's calling
it's true.
USFL games right now. So just the upgrade in coaching alone really helps DJ automatically.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
right. You're right
Exactly.
about
So.
that. Let me see real quick here. This is actually a good question by Blue City Empire Sports. He says, I have a question. What is your worst and favorite memory of Daniel Jones?
Mm.
Jay, I'm gonna let you go first. Coach, I'm gonna let you go right after. But
Mm-hmm.
man, this is we about to tap into some trauma, man.
Okay.
All right, let's
All right.
get it.
So if we're talking about the worst, I'm gonna start with the worst. Okay. I don't want to say when we drafted him because I definitely am one of those fans that was not happy at the time when we drafted him. But the worst memory of DJ, I would probably go with probably last year. We're looking at the injury when he got concussed by the Cowboys, because when you're looking at what happened
Ooh,
before then, you're looking at Kenny Galladay. He left the game early. Then Saquon Barkley tweaked his ankle, and it was like everyone's getting hurt, and like the freaking sky was falling down. Then DJ trying to win or get points on the board for his team gets concussed, gets knocked out of his boots, doesn't know where he is. So I probably go with that as my worst memory for DJ. But my favorite, let's go with his first game out the gate, wins the big game versus Tampa in his first NFL start, and that game had me so pumped for DJ. Like, I was thinking this guy was a future MVP when I first saw that first game. He had like what, 4 total touchdowns, 3 total touchdowns, and he came back in the
yeah.
game too. And
Mm-hmm.
then the Matt Gay misses the kick, so we did actually win the game. It was awesome. That has to be probably my favorite memory of Daniel Jones for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to take the easy way out. The worst is the breakaway where he trips on that long touchdown run.
Yeah,
As a coach, it's like, come on, man, come on. That you're in the clear. That was almost an easy touchdown, and you trip and fall. Why? And the favorite actually is not even a pass. It's his catch.
oh
Okay,
That
wow.
that catch was, I mean, the way he elevated, getting up, it's almost, literally one-handed. It's like, and that's why I say he has the skill set. I mean, he's athletic. I mean, just, he's, I grew up, basically, think about me looking at Phil Simms, and Eli Manning, two quarterbacks who were not mobile. They're pocket passes. You really have to give them a pocket to produce. Otherwise, Daniel can move, just develop the pocket awareness, but he gets out there and he changes it. He brings another dynamic to his game.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I thought I was going to be different by saying, Jones being concussed against Dallas. I guess Jay reads my mind. But if I could choose one, uh, outside of the trip, it would have to be his game against the Cardinals, where he was just playing with a damn near one hamstring. Like,
Mhm,
the other one was just
Yeah.
that one was just brutal for me to watch. I loved the
true.
toughness for the kid. I respected it, but you just saw that he shouldn't have been out there. And
Mhm,
it was
mhm,
just it honestly, I don't want to, be too dramatic or nothing, but like it broke my heart because you see the heart in this kid, but you see, he's getting hit. He can't really put all he can into his throws. Him getting outside of the pocket was just a no-go. I thought that, Colt McCoy should have played that game. Ultimately he didn't. Um, but in my opinion, that's probably one of the worst memories of
mhm,
DJ that I have.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite memory, honest to God, was in 2019, Jones against Washington, where he has 5 touchdowns. I
Oh
mean,
yes.
mhm, mhm.
The Chase
352
Young Bowl.
yards. Yeah, the Chase Young Bowl. I mean, you want to talk about a dominant game? I mean, how you felt against the Bucks, man, when you thought this kid could be MVP. I felt that way every time we play Washington with this kid, but
Yes.
specifically this game, man. I mean, he looked like a stud. Um, my favorite play of that entire game was, Saquon coming out of the backfield, and him catching a TD for 40 yards. It was
Mhm,
either 40 or
Yeah.
30 yards
mhm,
off of
mhm,
Daniel Jones. That was just I see that, and I want to see more of that with Brian Dable and Kafka. And if we can, I mean, man, I think you're talking about a different offense. But yeah, man, Blue City, those are our favorite, memories. And man, worst memories of Daniel Jones. Definitely, let me tell you something. That trip, I'm there with you, coach. When I saw that live,
mhm.
when I
Yeah.
tell you I was jumping up and down looking at my TV screen because I'm like, ain't no way, at the time I said this white boy. I was like, ain't no way this white boy ran
Yep.
80 yards.
Facts.
And
Uh-huh.
then you see him wobbling. And I just remember my girl, she was just like chuckling. And I just look at the couch and I look back and I was like, ain't no way. And he just falls to the ground.
Mhm,
Man, it
mhm,
just that got me. And definitely the concussion against Dallas, man. I mean,
mhm,
I felt like I don't know if y'all have seen Rocky, but when he said throw in the
mhm,
towel,
Yeah.
that's
mhm,
how I felt when I saw that. I was like, get
mhm,
this man off the field. Like
Yeah.
he didn't
mhm,
know where he was walking to. So yeah, man.
The
That
Cowboys defender, I think it was Javion Curse, had to literally help him like get
yeah,
off the ground. Like
yeah,
it was insane.
yes, sir.
mhm.
What is
Exactly.
going on, Super Taj?
What's going on here, squad? Coach Ed, JayyDimes is good.
So,
Respect, Taj. How are you, man?
I'm good,
The
man.
hardest working man on Twitter.
I'll,
You
t-
amaze me, man. You really
I'll
do.
tell you
my boy
what,
Todd.
that boy be sending us DMs at 4 in the morning.
Yes,
Like
he
Facts.
does.
keeping us ready, man. I
Facts.
love
Mhm.
it, man. I love it. But look, I mean, we gotta ask you this question, Taj. Blue City asked, "What is your worst and favorite memory of Daniel Jones?"
Man, my favorite memory of Daniel Jones, this gotta be either the Washington game in his rookie year or the Saints game last year. If I had to
Ooh,
choose
Mhm.
between,
okay,
if I had to choose between those two games, I would probably choose the Saints game.
okay,
Cause I mean, like for number one, like it's in the dome, like on one of the toughest places to win in too.
yeah,
Like with that crowd, with that loud ass crowd with Saints fans chanting "Who that" and all that,
Mhm.
yeah.
and my worst nightmare with Daniel Jones, I I'll probably have to say maybe the Buccaneers game, his second year Monday Night Football, and
Mhm.
or probably the Rams game too.
Ooh, that's a good one, man.
Yeah.
A good one.
Mhm.
Because
I
that
choose the
Rams game,
Rams
he
game.
he didn't he didn't look too good in that Rams game, man.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Mm-mm. D-Mac, he says, and I believe he's referring to Daniel Jones. He says the kid has tangibles, but he makes boneheaded plays. I
Mhm.
mean, can I say this real quick? I understand that that's something that a lot of fans point out with DJ that he makes boneheaded plays, but he ain't the only quarterback that does. Like I'm sorry, he's not. You don't want that from your QB, but he ain't the only QB in this league that be making boneheaded plays. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
When it comes to that, when you say boneheaded, um, I usually, because yes, on the field, you're like, what are you looking at? Why did you do that? And sometimes you'd be surprised when you go and you look at the film and the guys sit down and break it down. You start to say, "Oh wow, I see what he's talking about." And then it's not too much of a boneheaded play, then maybe, or of a too risky of a play. Because I separate those two. Boneheaded just means it's just plain stupid and dumb. You know,
Yeah.
but risky means that look, okay, you're Brett Favre, you're trying to be Brett Favre and put a ball in a spot that what you're just trusting your talent and you're trusting your abilities a little bit too much. So, you know,
Hmm.
for me, that's when you say bonehead, that's how I break it down.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, when we're talking about bonehead plays with DJ, I don't think we can count when he was a rookie. He's a rookie. You're gonna make those type of plays when you're a
Mhm.
rookie. So when
Hmm.
we're talking about from his sophomore season to now, I could say he has made some plays like the play versus Pittsburgh when he's like running to the left side of the field, Cameron Hayward's in his face, and he just launches the ball up in the air and gets intercepted when we're in the end
Mhm.
zone on a drive. But he was doing like pretty good. Like he was leading us down the field. I would say that would be one. And
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I had a dumb fumble somewhere, and then we just lost the ball. But I don't think DJ makes that many boneheaded plays where we're taking out when he was a rookie, in my opinion. But I can see why he would say that. But I don't think he made that many
Yeah.
boneheaded plays.
Yeah, I don't think he has too many boneheaded plays. I do think that there are moments where, the offensive line is collapsing and, there's a strip
Mhm.
sack
Yeah.
or,
Mhm.
Evan Ingram is dropping a pass and it, pops up and it's an interception. Now
Yeah.
there are some, I mean, you talk about last year's Bucks game throwing the ball to the DT. Yeah, that's a boneheaded one,
Mhm.
but to your
Mhm.
point, coach, I mean, what did
Mhm.
he see? I mean,
Mhm.
was the running back out of position? I mean, it seemed
Mhm.
like, it was a screen almost. I mean, I could be
Yeah.
It's
wrong.
always remember, we as fans, we look at the TV angle and you don't see the full field. Like if I go to the games, the one place like I don't even sit on the sidelines to watch a game. I'm in the end zone because in the end zone I can see the full spectrum of the field, not just in the offensive line and defensive line and the play development, but I can see what's really going on. And sometimes in situations like that, okay, is he throwing it over there? Why is he throwing it over there? We may not have seen that. He saw a flash of color and he was just trying to make a play. Is it too risky? Yeah. Is it too is that one a boneheaded play? Maybe because, from the TV angle, that's what we see.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yep.
there's definitely, moments where, I'll question, what
Hmm.
was going on the field. But to your point, coach, it's I don't know what that player saw. I don't know
Hmm.
if the receiver ran the wrong route or if
Hmm.
I don't know if, the running back in this case was out of position.
Hmm.
I think that there are reasons for certain things. And then obviously, there's moments where it's like, what the hell are you doing?
The
Like,
That's
quarterback gets the most praise and the most blame.
yeah.
absolutely.
Most blame, yeah.
The buck starts and ends with him, man.
Hmm.
Mark says, "Give him a chance to win." Hey, we gotta hope. We gotta
Hmm.
hope, man. Um, now to answer his own question, Blue City Empire Sports says, "My favorite memory of Daniel Jones was 2019 against Washington. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, overtime win." Yeah, man. I mean, I know that fans wanted us to tank that game for Chase Young. I'm never for tanking. I can't
Hmm.
do it. I'm too
Yeah.
competitive
Hmm.
myself,
Hmm.
so I can't do it. But that game in itself, I was in my to me, that was the most proud that I've been with DJ outside of the Saints game in his career. Because I thought that was a game where you really saw potential with this kid. Now, was Washington throwing the game away? That's a whole other discussion. Who knows? But
Yeah.
again, I thought that was an excellent game by him. And you can't take away the fact that hey, 5 touchdowns, regardless of nothing in the NFL, that's a lot for a QB to throw in one single game,
Hmm.
especially with no turnovers and an overtime win. So
And
definitely got to give him a lot of credit.
then we won that game, and where we ended up drafting it, we took Andrew Thomas, who's a stud. So I'm not,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
Exactly. And Miss Rodney, you got a point. She says there's not that many moments that is going to change. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Christopher Tony, thank you for stopping by, man. I hope you're doing good yourself. I'm doing great, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Christopher Tony says the Washington game was his best game in his rookie year. I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, yeah, you could make that argument. It was a
Best game of his
very good
career,
game.
almost
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
definitely one of them for sure, especially
for sure.
statistically. Mark,
Or what about week 17 versus the Cowboys? To where we could have like won the division
Oh yeah.
if the
oh yeah,
Eagles like didn't
Yeah.
tank. You mean
yeah,
yeah, like if we didn't win that game versus the Cowboys week 17, we wouldn't be rooting for the Eagles to win and beat Washington.
Hmm.
So
yeah,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely, man. And again, that
I
was a
think that
very
was
good
one of
game
his
by
best
DJ
games
too.
too.
You're right. You're right. And again, like Miss Rodney said, there's not many moments, but I do think that is going to change, especially when you look at the playmakers that we have added on our team. Now, Mark, I actually appreciate you asking this question because that transitions to one of our other topics. He says, "Are fans overhyping Bellinger?"
Mm.
Now, look, one thing I wanted to talk about was, he's getting starting reps. I mean, I personally, I wanted Jeremy Ruckert in the draft, but the more research that I did with Bellinger, I mean, this could be a special player for us, especially considering that we're used to these tight ends dropping balls, and this guy doesn't drop a single pass that's headed to him. What do y'all think? I don't think fans are overhyping him. I don't see that at all.
No, he's
Nope.
tight end one by far. It's not even close, in my
Yeah, when you're
opinion.
looking at who we have on the roster outside of Bellinger, Daniel Bellinger, they got what Ricky Seals Jones and Jordan Atkins, who I think we just signed a couple of days ago from the Texans, or a couple of weeks ago rather. I don't think anybody's really overhyping him. I don't think anybody's out here calling him Travis Kelsey in his rookie year. No, like that. I think people are just seeing how he kind of resembles Dawson Knox, who was in the Brian Dable scheme. So I don't think that's overhyping him. I think they're just giving out a player comparison that used to be in the scheme of Brian Dable. I don't think anybody's really overhyping Bellinger for real.
No, I don't think it's overhype. I mean, fans are tired of what we've had the past few years with, Evan Ingram. So, we're looking for any little hope, any little ray of sunshine that we see. And, Bellinger is giving you that. Add in the fact that, he can block. We all know Evan didn't do well blocking. So,
Hmm.
Bellinger can go out there and he can hold his own. So you start to see the semblance of a tight end. You know, um, I, you know, I haven't seen anybody talk about he's you know, an all pro or, a yellow jacket kid, right off the bat. We all know that he has to be developed,
Right,
but,
yeah.
the tools are there. And, in the same token, for me, it's OTAs,
Hmm.
we're in t-shirts and shorts. So until you put on those pads and really get out there, that's when, for me, I can really evaluate. I haven't heard fans, taking it to that extreme myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. I don't think that he's overhyped at all. I just think, we've been used to these athletic, I guess you could say, tight ends that we tried bringing in, and we thought it would work with Evan Ingram. In Evan Ingram's defense, I didn't think that the Giants really used him correctly.
Mm-mm.
But I really liked Caden Smith. I thought that Caden Smith
Yeah.
should have gotten more time on the field. And I don't think fans are overhyping this
Shit,
Bellinger.
Daniel Bellinger could be our Caden Smith.
He could. I
Mhm.
think he could be better, even if we're
Mhm.
He could,
keeping it a
yeah,
buck.
even better, right?
And and
Exactly.
and, and my question to y'all is, I mean, you look at, some people talk about, how big his hands are and how they're pretty much like baseball mitts. They're huge. I mean, coming from Evan Ingram dropping so many balls, I mean, and you bring up a great point, Coach. I mean, he seems to be a good blocker, which we haven't had at the tight end position in quite some time.
Mhm.
I mean, could this be, and I've been saying this, I think Wandale will be the security blanket for him. But do you think that this could be that security blanket for Daniel Jones to pick up those, 4 or 5 yards on the underneath
Mhm.
routes?
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, it's
yes.
the underneath and the seam. If you have good play action, and the LBs, bite up. He can just, literally, the old pop pass. In youth football in high school, where everybody's up and they just dump it to the tight end right over and run up the seam. So it's that to me is the safety blanket more so than Robinson. Because
Mm.
it's either him or what's your check down? Is Saquon over in the flats? Is he running the swing? Is he running a stick route or something to that effect that he could just get it to him real quick? But those are the two that I see as more of the safety blanket for DJ going forward.
Definitely,
And
definitely.
Daniel Jones loves throwing the tight ends too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes to his detriment.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're right
Yeah.
about that. You're absolutely right about that. And again, they're not overhyping him, Mark. Um, we got to see how he looks on the field, but I would have been concerned as a fan if we was going into this season with Ricky Seals as our number one.
Yeah.
Not to knock him, because I think that he has some talent. He's athletic, but I just nah. I would have had a problem. I'm not going to even lie to you guys.
Yeah.
I would have had a problem with that.
Yeah.
But again, Bellinger, nice pickup for the Giants. Might actually, I guess you could call him a steal. He might even be a steal for them. I mean, I know we
Mhm.
talk about Zudu, and if everything goes right, he could be a steal for the New York Giants. But I think this kid as a fourth round selection, hell yeah, I think that he could.
Mhm.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
man. Christopher Tony says, I just want to see if he could do it in a game. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
DMAC Warrior says, I don't think he's overhyped, but he could be a sneaky good player. I agree with you, man. I think that he can be. Um, I'm actually more than anything, I'm just excited to have a tight end that could block
Yeah.
because I love Evan Ingram, but he was okay with blocking, but not what I would want in a tight end. Like I know it's a lot to ask, but you look at George Kittle, man. I mean, this guy just
Yeah.
he's laughing, pummeling guys to the
Mhm.
ground. I mean, I love
Mhm.
that stuff. Like I love that nutty stuff out of a tight end,
Mhm.
and I loved Shockey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I loved Larry Donnell at first. Obviously that didn't go right,
Mhm.
but no, this is definitely a change of pace with the tight end position, and for me personally, good selection. Um, on the topic of Bellinger, Jaden says, I think that he can have 400 yards for us this season. Now, I know that some fans might think that that's not a lot, but I want to pull up Dawson Knox's stats. Uh, hold on, real quick just because I want
Yeah.
to, kind of see. Okay, yeah, yeah. So in 2020, 24 receptions, 288 yards. But last year, 49 receptions, 587 yards. Definitely played a factor when it came with picking up touchdowns with 9 touchdowns. So I don't think 400 yards would be, bad, especially for a rookie tight end. And
Mhm.
him being,
Yeah.
really the tight end one, and him having, he's going to be blocking a lot. I mean, 400 yards. I think that would be right. With if we're just looking at Dable's offense with how these tight ends are. So I mean, I'm there with you, man. Um,
400 yards is not a lot, and don't forget, we also have, more playmakers. So, it's going to take away from his opportunity. So, 400
Mhm.
yards, 500 yards. Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
He also asked. He says, should we get another tight end? Maybe that 6'8" undrafted free agent. I think. Was it Rodney, coach, that had mentioned that yesterday on the stream about
Austin
Mhm.
Allen.
Mhm.
Austin Allen?
Mhm.
I
Heard
Yeah.
mean,
about.
I like the height. I mean, but I'm not gonna lie. If it came to it, I mean, I would rather just I'd pick up at least another player in terms of the players that we signed with our undrafted free agents.
That could easily be another like Rising John. I don't know if anybody remembers him, but he was like a tight
Mhm.
end wide receiver type, like six,
From
seven,
Connecticut.
something like that.
From
Yeah,
Canada, I mean, from Canada. Yep, I remember him. He played at what, St.
Yeah.
John's University in Canada or something like that. So yeah, I remember him.
Uh,
Oh, what's it called? Jay, my bad. It's a little muffled. It might be your mic.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, if he's 6'8" but can't catch a block, you know what I'm saying? It's no really point in really bringing him in. But we also had Chris Myrick.
Yeah,
He was a main reason why he won that Eagles game last year with that touchdown. So when you're talking about the Giants have
yeah.
like 4 tight ends already on the roster, easily they could bring in another guy, but I don't think it would be him exactly. But we'll see.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I don't think they would. I'm gonna be real. I don't think that they're gonna carry 4 tight ends on this roster.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I
Nah,
don't think that
yeah,
they
because the
will.
personnel is gonna be different.
Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely, jaded. Now, I mean, coach. I mean, could you see them carrying more than three? Like, I just don't see it.
What are you going to do with your receivers then?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're doing that, then are the other guys basically stepping in and filling in? Now if you let like Slayton go, even though Slayton is that deep threat type of a guy, Akins and Ricky Seals, able to step in and to fill in that role, to give a big, almost a big body type of receiver look. If you want to keep that extra tight end in, to make plays. And the other question is, because the two younger guys are better blockers. So, what do you give up in terms of blocking in, when you need that blocking, especially in short yardage or goal line? Sometimes you do need that extra tight end. So, but then again, if you have, like you said, Myrick can play the H back, that full back, as well as a traditional inline. Then that's where your fourth one comes into play, because it gives you a different position, and as they always talk about versatility. So.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely, man. Agreed, 100%. Miss Rodney says, and I know that she said Bellinger here, but she says Bellinger is going to be great. Finally, a tight end that can block for us. You're
Mhm.
Yep.
absolutely right, Miss Rodney, and I think that's going to
Yeah.
help the running game. It's going to help,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, especially having that security blanket. And I think it's nice to have a player that's known for not dropping passes. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been a
Yeah.
killer for this team.
I've been spoiled throughout my whole career with good tight ends who can block and who can catch the ball. Bavaro, Zeke, Mowat, um, Cross. I mean, I can go down the list, and
Power calls. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, I'm used to tight ends that can not only block, but they can catch that ball. So, but again, I understand the game is different. So, you also have more flex tight ends and tight ends who can stand on the outside and, go one on one with a cornerback. So, but, I mean, it goes back to some of the most basic fundamentals, blocking. And,
Absolutely.
I
Mhm.
need that tight end to block. That's me.
Yep.
Absolutely. I agree. Mark the Blue Giant, he asked, oh, my bad. I forgot to click it. He says, what about Saquon? Can he dominate this year? Too many haters for real. Hey, yeah, look,
Yes.
this kid got a lot
Yeah.
of
Hell
haters,
yeah.
especially on Twitter. I've had many conversations about that and how I feel. I don't agree with it at all. Um, but I mean, to answer your question, Mark, and then, I'll turn it to the panel. I think that this kid is going to dominate this year.
Yep.
I think he looks hungry. He looks shiftier. He looks a little lighter on his feet. I think that how Dable could possibly use this kid, whether it's out the backfield, whether it's him in the slot. I
Mhm.
mean, he's just a mismatch nightmare. And I think a lot of fans, forget how he was, in his rookie season. Just I mean, a lot of people deemed him as the best, one of the best running back prospects to enter the draft since, Ricky Williams and LaDainian Tomlinson and Reggie Bush. In
Mhm.
my opinion, I think that this kid is a superstar. I know some people may not see that, but I mean, when he's healthy, he's just extremely dominant. And, he hasn't had a good offensive line. Hopefully that
Yep.
changes this year. So I think that why can't he come in here and dominate, especially when you have an offensive coordinator like Kafka and Dable, two great, coaches and like-minded coaches, excuse me, that are looking to get the most out of their guys. Why can't he?
No, I agree. I mean, he's first of all, he's hungry. He's wanting to prove himself. And anytime a player, I want to kill everyone. I'm riding with that player.
Hmm. Me
Yes,
too.
sir.
I'm riding with him because he's ready to show something. If you want to question the injuries, to me that's part of football. I mean, I've seen it across the board. Some guys who repetitive, and then next thing you know, 4 or 5 years down the road they haven't had another injury. And then you see guys who have never had an injury, and then next thing you know, 2, 3 in a row. So injuries are part of the game. But for Saquon, can he dominate? Yes. Am I, hoping and, you know, hoping as a fan? Yes. As a coach, I'm trusting Dable and Kafka and the whole offensive staff will put him in a position to, do what he needs to do, utilize him properly, and put him in the positions that, he's going to go out there and beat a linebacker, a cornerback, or a safety. It doesn't matter. And with his running game, he's going to, work the outside zone, put his foot in the ground, make that one cut, and get upfield. The only thing with that running game, I don't want to see the dancing too much. You know,
Yeah.
Yep, you and I both.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that that's been an issue with Saquon. As nice as it is, it almost looks like poetry in motion.
hmm
I get so worried with this kid. With him doing that, I'd like to see him, run the ball up the middle a little bit more. It seems that the Giants like to run to the outside, to the
hmm
right side
Outside
specifically.
zone.
Um, so I think, if you can run behind Glowinski and Evan Neal, I mean, I think Saquon is going to see, holes opening up that he hasn't seen in his NFL career. Pause, but he hasn't seen in his NFL career.
Yes, I mean, with that
Yeah.
outside zone, as long as if you attack it and seal it, and he can get to that edge. It's there. If you're scooping an interior to try and help get out there to outnumber the defense, great. But then it's also, do you also give them a nice cutback where you cut the flow to the backside, that way it opens up a nice alley for him to attack.
Yeah.
And that right there is what I want to see with the offensive line, as opposed to defensive linemen just standing up our offensive linemen and not giving an alley, you
Yeah.
know, and
Mhm.
we're not having an offensive coordinator use him the wrong way, where you're trying to always get him up inside, 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 as opposed to spread it out. He's an outside guy, get him outside, then
Yep.
you can get to the inside, and misdirection, a good misdirection, a flash of emotion from a Tony or a Robinson, just to get to linebackers to look another way or step another way. That can also open up the inside. So
Yeah, you make a great point there, Coach, and that's what gets me excited with Saquon because he's gonna have a modern offense being called. I mean,
mhm,
if there's any offense that I would love to pick from, absolutely it would be the Chiefs and the Bills.
mhm,
And I think to Dable and Kafka's credit, I mean they haven't had a running back like Saquon in
Yep.
either of their respective teams. They
mhm.
haven't,
They
and
have.
I think,
Yep.
credit to Joe Shane and crew, they went out and actually addressed the offensive line with quality talent. I mean, you got to imagine that this kid, if he could stay healthy, will, have a very good year for the New York Giants. So, I mean, I get excited. Those are the kind of things that where it's like, okay, like it just for me, it just comes down to health, and you can't predict that. Unfortunately, you can't.
Mhm.
And I just again I get really excited for that. Jaden, he asked two separate questions. First one, he says, Jay, who is your breakout player this year?
Okay. Breakout player. Is it safe for me to say Azizo Jalari?
Yeah,
I
why not?
think, hey, I think Aziz Jalari, when we're looking at how he done turned into the Incredible Hulk over the offseason, how both he is, and him already having like 8 sacks last year, you bring in Kayvon Thibodeau, who's going to even open up the game more for the guy like Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. I got to go with Aziz. I think he's primed it for a big year. We're going to start getting more one-on-ones, and you got Wink Martindale there, as who's one of the most well-respected defensive coordinators in all football. I like Aziz Jalari as my breakout candidate heading into the season for sure.
Most def, most def. Taj, what about you?
Um, yeah, I agree with JayyDimes. I'm gonna go with Azeez Ojulari as my breakout player for the Giants this year.
I like that. I like that. And you, Coach?
Hmm. Xavier McKinney.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I like
Yes,
Yeah,
that. I like
sir.
that. I like
I
that.
mean, I think that he's going to be all over the field. He's going to be a playmaker out there. He's going to have opportunities to get his hands on the ball, and I think he can probably have more than one pick six. I think he can get 2 to 3, and if he gets that, and probably get 7, 8 interceptions, and if he can get maybe 20, 25 PBUs, I think that's a good look.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mine is, I mean, to be honest with you, y'all two picked, the two players that I've been saying I think will break out. Aziz Ojolari and Xavier McKinney. I think Aziz, I mean, again, y'all said it best. I mean, he puts on some more muscle. He's looking good. He's looking like he's primed to have a breakout season. Xavier McKinney had his best year yet last season. It looked like the game was slowing down for him. He was all over the field making plays for the Giants. And I think when you look at Wink's defense, I mean, those are two players that can actually really thrive in his defense. I mean, some will say Leonard Williams, which I completely understand.
Yeah.
But I definitely, those are my two players, Jaden. I appreciate you asking that. And Jaden with another question. This is actually towards Coach. He says, Coach, is there anything you're excited about looking at this defense? That's a good question.
Because as a DC, I love the same type of defense, movement, blitzing from different angles, being exotic, being unpredictable, the pressure that can put on an offense. And the biggest thing is I know everyone loves sacks, and sacks are beautiful, and they do wonders for the defense. But I'm a smack the coach. I mean, I'm a smack the quarterback type of a coach, because if you smack the quarterback around, he's going to just throw that ball up in harm's way. A lot of times, he's just going to try and get it up there, and it becomes the Sam Darnold effect where he sees ghosts.
Seeing goes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that to me is what's exciting. Just sitting back and you know trying to dissect the different schemes, and the movements and the stunts, and do when you slide the D line one way, do you squeeze the mic down, giving him a small edge to attack because now he's the outside contained guy. Just little things like that. It's I that's exciting for me.
One
Excellent.
thing, one thing, one thing. To piggyback off coach, with hitting the quarterback, not even like getting sacks really, but getting just some licks off on the QB,
Mhm.
that actually helped the Giants win a game last year. That first game versus the Philadelphia Eagles, they was doing the read option with Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, which it was working. But at some time when we kept,
Mhm.
giving Jalen Hurts those hits, even though he's giving the ball out, he didn't want to, run that read
Mhm.
option no more. He was starting just giving it straight to Miles Sanders. So yes, that actually is something else that I'm excited for with the defense. Not getting sacks, but just getting awesome licks on the QB for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You make a great point there. Big play say, thank you for stopping by, man. Seriously. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you're
Slay
doing
was
good,
good.
brother. Jaden, his was also Xavier McKinney. So I appreciate you dropping that comment, man. I think McKinney's gonna be a great player for us going forward. And I expect him to have a very good season for us next
Yes,
season.
sir.
Like Gio West pointed out yesterday, which I thought was an excellent point. He may start off a little bit slow like he did last season. This is a
Mhm.
new defense for him.
Yep.
But I think that when it's all said and done, when we look at the body of work and what he's putting on the field, from start to finish, yeah, I think that this kid is primed to have a very good season for us, man. But look, we're gonna actually end this video off here, man. I appreciate every single one of you guys that stopped by, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for stopping by, leaving us your comments, leaving us your questions. It always makes the chat really fun. Jay, I appreciate you making the time to come out to Giants and Friends. Seriously, it was a great time.
Mhm.
Coach,
Thanks for having me.
you already know how I feel, man. Thank you for stopping by.
Same here, bro.
Super Taj, shit, it's love. Keep having us updated in the chat, man. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yes,
um,
sir.
but
Yes,
nah,
sir.
I mean, is there any last things y'all want to say to the chat before we head out?
I just want to say thank y'all for having me, man. It was a blast. I love the questions. Some very good questions that y'all was asking for sure. And yeah, that's really it. Go Giants, for real. I'm excited.
Hell yeah, man. And y'all can find JayyDimes' channel, the Coach Ed Gladney's channel, and Super Taj's channel in the description of this video below. Go subscribe to them. They make excellent content, excellent New York Giants content. I appreciate you guys stopping by. And with that being said, we will see you guys on the next video.